Hi, my name is Zawadi Baharanyi. I am the daughter of Tom and Bernice Baharanyi, which I tell you because I imagine they're somewhere on this Zoom as they've been helping with running the Pace Reading Club. I'm also a former member of the Pace Reading Club. I participated when I was a kid, and it's something I love doing because I love to read. Today, I'm joining you guys so that I can share with you one of my new favorite children's books. The book is called Stemming from Blackness. It's by the author Sarah E. Higgins. And I will tell you, Sarah Higgins is a dear friend of mine. So I'm very excited to share this with you and read from the book today. So I'm going to read the book. It's pretty short. And then I'm going to share with you why I love this book and why I think it's important for other young people, especially young Black girls, to read this book. So let's get started. Stemming from Blackness by Sarah E. Higgins. There we go. Ugh, I can't do this, screamed Lisa. She slammed her textbook shut and tossed her pencil across the dinner table. Hey, watch it, her little brother Brian shouted from the other side of the table after the pencil lightly grazed his arm. What's wrong, Lisa? Their mother stood in the kitchen, stirring spaghetti noodles in a big pot of boiling water. The smell of freshly baked cornbread filled the room, and a colorful salad sat in a large glass bowl on the counter. Lisa sank in her chair and crossed her arms in frustration. This math homework is too hard. I can't get it. Yeah, she's been stuck on the same problem for a long time, her little brother teased. Her mother looked at Lisa. You just started learning multiplication tables last week. You'll get the hang of it eventually. She turned down the stove burner and placed her stirring spoon on the counter. But I've been getting every question wrong. I just want to give up. I'll never be good at math or science. Lisa slowly dropped her head. A puzzled look flashed across her mom's face. Who told you that? Well, Jimmy from class said that girls are not as good at math or science as boys are. Plus, none of the scientists that we learn about in school are Black like us. Well, Jimmy must not know that some of America's greatest engineers, doctors, and scientists are Black women. Lisa's eyes beamed with curiosity. There are Black women who are good at math and science? Can you tell us about some? I sure can, Lisa's mom smiled. First, let me see what you are learning in science. Can you hand me your textbook, please? She stretched out her arm towards Lisa. Lisa reached for her backpack on the floor. She pulled out her science book and placed it in her mother's hand. With anticipation, she waited for her mother's next words. Her mother flipped through Lisa's book. The solar system, eh? She reached a page of an illustrated Milky Way galaxy. Did you know that Black women have traveled to space? Really? Brian asked. Yes, they have. The first Black woman in space was Dr. Mae Jemison. She spent over 7 days on a space shuttle named Endeavour. Brian was amazed. A whole week in space? She conducted all sorts of science experiments, even on bone cells, her mother explained. That sounds cool, but it must be hard to do experiments while floating with no gravity. Lisa held her arms in the air and tilted her head to the side. The barrettes at the end of her 4 braids playfully dangled as she imitated floating around in space. Her mother chuckled. Yes, I'm sure it is. However, without studying math and science, she would have never become an astronaut. Yeah, I guess you're right, Lisa said, as she looked at her homework. As a matter of fact, Dr. Jemison is one of many Black women who have worked for NASA. Another is Dr. April Erickson. She was an engineer. Oh, really? Brian asked. Yes, son. She built equipment that astronauts use on their missions. One of the tools she designed could bring dust from Mars back to Earth. Dust all the way from Mars? That's incredible, Lisa said. It sure is, their mother said. Black women have also succeeded in medicine. Like who? Asked Lisa. One is Dr. Patricia Bath, an eye surgeon. She even invented a device to help people when their vision gets cloudy and was the first Black woman to earn credit for a medical invention. Hearing this mini history lesson impressed Brian. A doctor and an inventor? That's pretty cool. I guess knowing math and science would make it easier to invent something. Suddenly, the phone rang in their dad's office on the opposite side of the house. Hello? His deep voice echoed through the hall. Their mother said, Did you know that a Black woman designed the technology that makes long-distance phone calls sound clear? Or that the same Black woman helped to create caller ID and call waiting? Really? Who was it, Mommy? Asked Lisa. Her name is Dr. Shirley Jackson. She was also the first Black woman to earn a PhD from MIT. Wow, we use phones every day. I had no idea that a Black woman helped to make them work better, said Brian. Kids, the work of Black women touched almost every part of our lives. In fact, it was a Black woman, Dr. Gladys West, whose work helped to develop the GPS technology that we use to help us find directions. She worked on a military base for over 40 years, during a time when the military hired only a few women. Dr. West was also inducted into the United States Air Force Space and Missile Pioneers Hall of Fame. I always thought math and science were boring, but now I see all the cool things I can do with it, Lisa said. Yeah, and I had no idea that girls are just as good at math and science as boys are, Brian replied. But Mommy, how did you learn about all of these great women? Brian asked. Their mother paused and looked towards her children. Well, kids, I am also an engineer. You're an engineer too? Lisa said in shock. I sure am. I work for our state as a civil engineer. I help to design the bridge we use to cross the river to get to school every day. You built that? That is amazing, Brian exclaimed. What's even more amazing is that just like you, when I was a child, I thought that math and science were too hard for me. But the more I studied, the better I did, and the more fun it became. When I went to college, I decided to study engineering so I could help build things that improve our society. Lisa thought to herself, if other Black women can do well at math and science, then so can I. I want to be just like you and the women you talked about, Mommy. So I better finish my math homework. She reached across the table for her pencil. That's the attitude to have. Her mother went back into the kitchen and grabbed 4 plates out of the cabinet and placed them on the counter. But all this talking has worked up my appetite. Go tell your dad that dinner is ready and let's eat. Sounds good to me. Lisa jumped out of her seat and ran to her dad's office down the hall. She felt inspired and was looking forward to studying so that one day she could become as great as the Black women her mother just told her about. And that's the end. Ta-da! So, again, this book is called Stemming from Blackness. And I like this book because it's a reminder that we really can do anything we put our minds to. If we can dream it, then we can achieve it. It just takes a lot of hard work. It's also helpful to have some good examples. So if you're thinking, I want to be the best dancer in the world, start looking for other people who've done it before you. Let them be your inspiration. I think for little Lisa in this book, she didn't know there were so many women, Black women, who'd come before her who had accomplished so much with math and science. And just learning their stories helped her have greater faith and confidence in herself. And so I hope we can all go on a journey like Lisa, where if we think there's something we can't do, just do a little research, see what we can find out about those who've come before us, and just buckle down and work hard so that we can achieve our dreams. Now, the other reason I shared this story is because it was written by a dear, dear friend of mine, Sarah E. Higgins. Not only is she an author, she's also an engineer, and she's also a lawyer. That's 2 careers. And I think she's a great example of what you can do if you put your mind to it. You can have as many careers as you want. You can do whatever you want to do, as long as you're willing to work hard, put in the work, and believe in yourself. So that's why I like this book, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about it. And if you're interested, just let me or my parents know, and we'll try to get you a copy. All right, bye-bye.